All right. Let me know in the comments in the chat if you guys can hear me. Mic check a mic check. Welcome to the Getting the Win Show live edition. I'm your host, Melissa T, the procrastination bully. And there's a lot of tech going on right now. So this is my first time simulcasting to IG, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Thank you guys so much on all the platforms for tuning in. And before I get into it, let me just shout out my mastermind real quick, the YoU Mastermind. Like this is my family of choice. We have our family of origin, we have our family of choice. And the YoU Mastermind is a family of choice. And these guys were challenging me to try something new and different. Because obviously, if you've been rocking with the show for a minute, obviously I record the shows every Wednesday, right? Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Sometimes I would slide in a live edition every once in a while, but this is the first simulcast. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining me for it. Shout out to Bree Christman, a friend of mine from many years ago. She and I used to go to the same church together, Grace Bible Church. Shout out to you. She is Wriggler and Nightcrawler. By the way, love that username, Bree. That's amazing. Awesome. And thank you for letting me know you can hear me loud and clear. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sharing the post and sharing the love. Appreciate you. So yeah, wanted to definitely dive into, reframing a trauma for transformation because this is what I teach now. You know what I mean? For those who know me as Melissa T, the procrastination bully, and now the hashtag author bestie, like this is what I teach. I live to help other people blossom, and specifically women who've navigated a trauma or transition. I'm helping them through the use of their book turn that trauma into transformation. So we're going to get into it. Let me set the stage for you. This is going to be a weekly live now. This Thursday one won't be the only one. Like this is the first one, the first of many. So here's what I can let you know to expect every Thursday. Shout out to Rosalie Thomas in the comments. Thank you so much. What's up? um yeah, so letting you know what to expect every Thursday. This is, since it's a weekly format, each week we'll have a different focus. So, what's up, Candice? Thanks so much for joining. Appreciate you. So, each week we'll have a different format. This one is a bit different because it's the intro one where I'm setting expectations. But one week will be a deep dive. You know what I mean? One week out of the month will be deep dives where I'm going into the same kind of information that I would talk to you about on Wednesdays. But with the Thursday lives, you'll be able to ask me questions in real time. Like with the Wednesday ones, they're pre recorded. So you put them in the comments and I would answer accordingly. But on Thursday deep dives, you'll be able to ask me questions while I'm talking. Okay. Essentially like a master class because the Thursday lives will run about an hour. Okay. On another week, it will be industry news because if you're going to get into publishing your book, by default, you'll be entering the publishing industry as an author. So one week, I'll be, deep diving into the self-publishing industry news, even give you a little bit about what's going on the traditional side, if that's an eventual goal of yours. So one week, we'll focus on that. On another week, I will bring on a student, someone who's been through the Truth to Transformation Bootcamp, someone who's been through the author activation weekend, or just someone who is an author and did the same thing. Like they went through the process of turning their trauma or transition into transformation. Like they've successfully become authors and have them be able to talk to you in real time. So you'll be able to ask them questions, get those experiences in real time. The Wednesday episodes will remain. Again, those are going to be pre-recorded. So those are the ones like, got to keep it flexible. Folks may not be available on Thursday evening. I get it. I get it. So much love, Candace. I see you in the comments. I love it. Do you ever do sponsorships for your retreat? I was super interested, but can't afford it right now. I hear you, Bree. Yes, we can talk about that offline. As the retreat grows, that's definitely something we want to do. So yeah, for sure. We'll talk on the back end about how we can make that happen, perhaps for next year. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because we've already got the date set for 2027. Like end of April, the last week of April has been ideal for us. So yeah, 2027. So Watch this space, whichever space you're on, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, or IG. Watch this space. I'll keep you guys posted in terms of the location for 2027. And shout out to Candace, because in her testimonial, she was like, yeah, I'm already getting my funds together for next year. Like, I'm ready to go. Yes, thank you so much, sis. So I mentioned in terms of what each Thursday will focus on, deep dives, case studies for other authors who've been through the process, industry news, and of course, like Q&As like this. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure you guys get all the information you need in real time. And that's the purpose of Thursdays. So let me dive into, the importance of how to reframe that trauma to be able to turn it into transformation. And by the way, there will be some guests sliding through here because I did invite some folks. So expect a couple of surprise guests in the building with me. And Candace, as someone who is a transformational coach yourself, feel free to chime in the comments in the chat here. So because I know you know a lot about this. For those who don't know, Candace Mackey and I are both certified extreme execution coaches. So we are well versed in emotional intelligence. And I can tell you, emotional intelligence is one of the biggest assets you can have in reframing a trauma into transformation because you get to see the trauma from a different lens. You're no longer looking at it simply as, oh my goodness, this happened to me. You're looking at it as this happened for me. I know you've heard that before. That's nothing new. But when you understand your own behavior and what can potentially trigger you or why you were triggered by something, you end up having a certain freedom that you've never had before. Once you understand your own behavior, you're like, oh, that is why that affected me the way it did at the time that it happened. So let me just give you a general overview of the 4 behavior styles that are in the extreme execution flight assessment. Okay. And by the way, this is something you can take on your own. I will say it is an investment. So be prepared to make a small investment in that. But you can go to flightassessment.com, I believe it is, flightassessment.com to take yours. It only costs you 15 minutes of your time and like triple digits. I want to say it's $147 to take. But I promise you that comprehensive 19-page report, you're going to read that and be like, oh, this is pretty spot on. Like this was actually scarily accurate. Candace, let me know in the comments if that happened to you when you took the first one too. That was the case for me. When I took my assessment, I was like, this is scarily accurate. So I'm going to give you the overview though. That way you're not left in the dark. You can still apply this even if you don't go to the website and take the full assessment. Shout out to Candace. She said, what you gain is priceless, which is absolutely true. Because not only do you learn yourself with the assessment, you're then also able to apply that information to all of the other people in your life. And you're able to make an educated conclusion as to what their behavior style might be and what their behavior style might have been at the time that your trauma or transition happened. Like that painful experience, you'll be able to have a new context like, oh, not only does this explain why I reacted the way I did, this also explains why that person behaved the way they did in the situation. Candace put in the comments, it explains a lot. It does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. So here are the 4 behavior styles in overview. And the beauty with this particular assessment is it's similar to other personality assessment, but what makes this one different is it also allows for collaboration because these 4 behaviors are actually 4 behaviors that combine to make a powerful team when they're healthy. And the beautiful thing is we all carry all 4 behavior styles in us. It's just that one of them is more natural for us than any other. Like one is more dominant than any other. So I'll start with the first one, which is the pilot. The pilot is your, very aggressive, fast moving, fast thinking, visionary people. They're self-driven, they're task oriented, they're all about the goals, they're all about the mission. they're gonna tell you what to do because that's what they're good at. That's what they're wired to do. So they'll they'll guide you, they'll lead you. And here's the thing, a healthy pilot is willing to be led by somebody else as long as whatever they're being told to do makes sense to them. If it doesn't make sense to them, they're just gonna do it their own way. It's all good. I'm gonna pause real quick to get your comment there. Bria, I had a call come in. Will there be a replay? Trust me, you're good. This is this is YouTube and LinkedIn. For IG, that's gonna be a little bit different. But since you're on YouTube, I see your comments coming from YouTube, Bri. This will live on YouTube even after the live stream is over. So you're good. Like you'll still be able to see it. So no worries. But yeah, for the I see you, Rosalie. She feel let's go because she knows she's a pilot. But yes, your pilots are your leaders for all intents and purposes. If you need one single word to sum them up, your pilots are your leaders. Pilots don't look back. If you notice on a plane, pilots cannot reverse because a plane does not have a reverse. Pilots rely on the ground crew. Stay tuned. We'll get to the ground crew in a minute. Pilots rely on the ground crew to push the plane back from the gate. And then once the plane is turned around to be able to taxi, that's when the pilot takes over and the plane starts to move forward because that's how pilots think, forward only. Like they're all about what's ahead. Okay. So they move quickly. Their big thing is time. A pilot is a tyrant about his or her time. And you can hear that in their language too. This is the beauty of that flight assessment because not only do you learn the behavior styles, you also learn the key words that each behavior style uses. So that's why you'll be able to more easily read somebody in the room. You'll hear what they're talking about and you're like, oh, this person might be a pilot. If they're talking about they don't have time for, or this is wasting their time, or it's not the highest and best use of their time, that person's likely a pilot. I don't think I'm a pilot, LOL. I hear you, Bree. I'll get to your behavior style. Trust me. One of these four will touch on your behavior style. So just so you're aware, that is the pilot's dominant. Like when they're in the natural, that is it. Okay. Um, in terms of an unhealthy pilot, though, and this is now coming into the context of your trauma or your major life transition where someone else may have harmed you. An unhealthy pilot or an immature pilot may be forceful. A pilot, mature or whatever, pilots are aggressive people. An immature pilot, though, is aggressive without regard for any consequences. They apply the sledgehammer and smash everything in the room. They're just moving forward, like they're just wrecking everything. A mature pilot, on the other hand, will have a team around them. They're still setting the pace. Things are moving quickly. They're the decision maker. Things are going forward, but they're also paying close attention to their team around them. An immature pilot does not pay attention to the team around them. What they say goes, and that's it. Whatever the fallout is, that's it. Okay. So think, start applying this now to your previous situation, your trauma or your transition. Was that person potentially an immature pilot or a pilot that was kind of in there, what we call their adaptive? When they're in their adaptive, they're moving a bit more carefully. They're not as natural. Adaptive is the way you behave when you're under close watch, when you know you're under observation. You think more clearly about what you're thinking about. You think more about what you're going to say. So you're out of sorts. That person that hurt you may have been in their adaptive. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the next one, which is the flight attendant. These are your social butterflies, your unicorns, all of the bright colors, all of the energy, all of the volume. That's your flight attendants, okay? These are the people that are your feelings people, your energy people, your people. They love people. They're the huggers. They're the ones that are asking you how you're doing. There you go. She saluted. They're asking you how you're doing. They can sense when you're not okay, and they're very careful when you're not okay. They want to make sure you feel better. You know what I mean? They're the ones that by far care the most. By far. And they're vocal. The other beautiful thing about your flight attendants is that they are abundant with ideas. Like, it is one of my favorite superpowers about flight attendants. Flight attendants have so many ideas. I'm like, I wish I had your brain. I can come up with ideas, but not that many. Not as many as a flight attendant. Okay. I'll get to my behavior style here next. But yes, your flight attendants are your feeling people. They move very fast, they think very quickly, and they're impulsive. They're not a fan of rules. Neither are pilots. Those two, they're not a fan of rules. They move really fast. Pilots think they their way is the best way anyway. So like they're just gonna move. Flight attendants are just gonna move too because flight attendants are they're very impulsive, they're very flighty. If something feels right to them, they're gonna do it, whether the rules call for it or not. You know what I mean? In a way, that can be a superpower. It's not always a negative. It can be inspirational. So if this applies to you, it's a superpower. Okay. So I've covered the pilot and the flight attendant so far. Next, we have the grounds crew. This is my behavior style. This is my natural behavior style. Okay. Your grounds crew are exactly who I was referring to earlier. They're the ones that back up the plane. They're the ones that clean the plane, the ones that fuel the plane, the ones that stock the food on the plane. Your grounds crew are the people that work at the gate. Your grounds crew are the people that work at the front of the terminal. Like as soon as you enter the airport to check in the first place, all of those people are considered grounds crew. Your grounds crew are your janitors. These are the people that are quietly making everything happen. They're the hands and feet of the operation. They don't need attention, but they appreciate it when they get it. Like grounds crew are not, they're not boastful. They just want to hear thank you. Just let them know you appreciate them, and that'll serve them for another 6 months. They're good. Like we as grounds crew, we're the independent ones. Like tell us what to do. And as long as our environment is stable, we got you. Like we will contain everything. Okay. So that's your grounds crew. Where grounds crew are interesting and unique because we're both task oriented and people oriented. Because grounds crew are loyal to a fault. Like we stick with you. As long as you're good to us, we stick with you. Rosie says loyal and making sure everything runs smoothly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then let me make sure to bring up Bree's comment there. One second. What's the worst that could happen kind of people? Yeah, that's the flight attendants. Absolutely, Bree. What's the worst that could happen? Like, let's do it. Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, I wanted to acknowledge Mosley as well because he put in the comments too, rolling, rolling, rolling. That was in response to the pilots. Absolutely. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Okay. Like high speed too. Like you better be buckled in because they're moving very quickly. Shout out to Miss Susie who's tuning in as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much. So yeah, coming back to the grounds crew. Like I said, we will maintain the functions of everything as long as we feel seen, as long as we are appreciated, we good. We don't need to be fawned upon. Like I said, just a thank you is good. Like a commendation of some kind. Like if we've been rocking with you for like 3 years, even through our sick days, even when we tired, whatever, please acknowledge us. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody's going to do that for you. You know what I mean? So let me move to the next introvert behavior style because the ground crew, we're introverts. We don't need the limelight. And you might be like, but you're on camera right now on 3 different platforms. What is that? I'm on camera right now because I'm in a position of leadership, right? When you're in a position of leadership, obviously you're going to be the face, and that's all right. My whole goal is to build you up and help you blossom. And I will lead you alongside you. I'm more of a servant leader. That's my vibe. I'm a collaborative leader. So that answers that question. But to the next introvert, we've got the air traffic controllers. All right. Now, the air traffic controllers, if you think about any airport situation, you literally never see them. But can I tell you something? They are the most important people in any flight. Your air traffic controllers determine, they set the flight plan. They're the ones that communicate with the pilots the most. And this one spoke to me in such a powerful way. I hope this ministers to you too. I learned this from my coaches. Shout out to ET, the hip hop preacher, and the entire YoU Mastermind family. Here's what ET taught us, which was amazing to me. When a plane is in flight and is at cruising altitude, as long as there is no turbulence, it's not the pilot that's flying, it's air traffic control that's controlling the plane. The pilot takes control of the plane the moment turbulence hits. That hit me so hard because I was like, wow, that's actually perfect. Because if you think about anybody who is in a position of leadership and is a healthy leader, leaders shine the most when there is trouble. They come through and stabilize everything. They're going to bring things into perspective, make sure everybody remains focused, and keep everything moving forward. A pilot takes control when turbulence hits. As long as things are smooth and steady, air traffic control got you. The leader doesn't have to be talking because the air traffic controller is taking care of everything. And this is also the importance of the grounds crew in this illustration too, because air traffic controller is taking care of all the details. Your air traffic controllers, listen, put it in the comments if you know anybody that asks all the questions. There are a couple in the audience right now. Trust me, I know them. And I am one as well. That's my secondary. Air traffic control is my secondary behavior style. I want all the details. I'm asking all the questions. Because as a grounds crew, that's my strong one. I want to make sure I'm moving with the proper instructions. And an air traffic controller wants to make sure they're doing things right the first time. I'm big on that. Candace with the teeth emoji. She's like, that's me. Appreciate you, Candace. Appreciate you. Rosie said yes and yes. Absolutely. We're asking all the questions. We want to make sure we have all the details so everything is running smoothly. Because we also want to, as grounds crew, we also want to make sure our leader looks good. That's a huge priority for those of us who are grounds crew. We don't want the operation to be busted, right? Like nobody wants that. Making sure the pilots land safety. Absolutely. Absolutely. So as you're hearing with this particular illustration, all of these behavior styles collaborate together to make a successful flight, right? All of these personality styles collaborate together to make a successful team too, to make a successful relationship, successful network in your life. And remember, all of us are all four. We have all four. Our dominant style is one of them. Okay. So now, with that said, now that you're able to self identify what is your behavior style, and then think back to that traumatic situation or that transition. What caused you to behave the way you did at the time of that trauma or transition? So I'm going to run it back. For pilots, it's all about speed. They're tyrants with their time. Perhaps something was going on. If you're a pilot, perhaps something was going on during that time of your life that made you feel stuck. That is frustrating because it feels like it's eating away at your time and your sense of progress, right? If you're someone who is a flight attendant, maybe somebody said or did something that hurt your feelings, like it cut you deep. And sometimes it said something, sometimes they did something, or in some cases didn't do something. Maybe they left, or they cut you off, or they stopped talking to you. Like abandonment is a whole thing. Attachment issues are a whole thing. And I can tell you from personal experience, I've dealt with both. As a ground crew, I'm super loyal. It is real hard for me to say goodbye. At this point in my life, I've learned how to, but it's still a challenge. Once we establish a good relationship, we want to maintain it, right? And Candace agrees. She said it's a whole thing. Absolutely. And then to Candace's point, she said, depends on the task at hand, of course. Yes, absolutely. Because that'll affect the pilot too. If the task on hand doesn't make sense, but they were in a situation where they didn't have a choice, that's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. That could be traumatic too. Or if the task on hand was a situation where they were stuck between a rock and a hard place and they had to do the thing, yeah, that could be traumatic for a pilot. And then for that flight attendant, I mentioned abandonment and attachment issues. Sometimes the trauma is someone who's unhealthy attached themselves to you. Maybe it wasn't somebody who left. Maybe it was somebody that was unhealthy that attached themselves to you. And since you're a people person, the attention is cool until it reaches the point where you're like, oh, I'm seeing some flags here. Like, and then of course, being a people person, it's hard to say no, right? Be honest if you're a flight attendant and you struggle with people pleasing. Because I can tell you, I might be ground crew, that's my strong one, but my flight attendant is high enough. It's like 40 something. Like, it's high enough. I'm a recovering people pleaser myself, so I get it. I get it. Shout out to Miss Susie. She said yes. Absolutely. So these are all scenarios in which, a trauma could have happened to you and the way you interpreted that trauma, right? Based on why, based on your behavior style. It could inform you as to why you reacted that way or why the other person behaved that way in your life. Because the other thing about a flight attendants, you are magnetic beings. The rest of us love you. Some of us might be a little put off by the volume, but in terms of your warmth, your approachability, we love you. We're drawn to you. Pilots like you because you fun. You know what I'm saying? And you move as quickly as they do. We ground crew, we love you because you're approachable. You'll come to us. We're the introverts, we chillin'. You'll come to us and start talking. Air traffic controllers don't mind flight attendants. They don't like all that volume and attention. They don't like the light, but they don't mind flight attendants because it's still a relationship. You know what I mean? They know that you care about them. So and they respect that. They respect and appreciate that. They might be hard to read because they're not going to return that energy to you, but they appreciate you. Take it from one who is also air traffic controller. We appreciate it. We might be hard to read, but we appreciate it. So now let me dig into more of these examples. I mentioned the flight attendant, I mentioned the pilot, right? In terms of what a trauma could look like. For a grounds crew, a trauma could be serving someone for a long time on a team, collaborating, whatever the case may be, and feeling underappreciated or unseen. That's a trauma for a grounds crew. We don't like that. And what happens is we will withdraw. We will gradually withdraw. We're already quiet, so we're just gonna not say anything. And you'll start to see it in our performance. We'll gradually start to be less and less careful. Since we operate in excellence in everything, we'll start to be less and less excellent because we know we're not being appreciated until the point that we finally just leave altogether. A pilot, if a pilot's not getting their way, they'll cut you off immediately. Like they have no problem. They have zero problem unless they're stuck in between a rock and a hard place again. A flight attendant, some of them might, but normally since they're people, they'll try to work it out. They'll try to have a conversation with you, or they might even avoid the uncomfortable conversation. So this is another flight attendant trauma, by the way. There might have been a fear in your mind or in your heart as it relates to a conversation you might have needed to have and didn't, and things compounded because the conversation didn't happen. Things compounded emotionally. That could be a trauma as well. So I mentioned the ground crew. If we're not feeling appreciated, we'll withdraw. If we are disrespected by perhaps an unhealthy flight attendant or an unhealthy pilot, they might say something that's gutting. We'll start to withdraw then too. Because, like I told you, all we ask for is thank you. We just want to be appreciated. We're not asking for any smoke. We don't want it. But if we get the smoke, we will also disappear on that basis too. That's a trauma. Okay. For your air traffic controllers are big on rules. They're big on systems and rules. Things have to be in order, things have to make sense. If you're an air traffic controller, perhaps your trauma might have been that you were in a situation that was completely unstable. It didn't make sense to you. This applies to ground crew as well. If you're in a situation, an environment that is completely unstable, things change too often, things are a little too flighty, that's a trauma for you. That's stress. So that'll bother you, right? So think back to your situation and see if any of these apply. If this gives context to why you behaved or reacted in the way that you did, and think about that other person who may have hurt you and see if any of those behaviors, like if they are one of the other styles that I described. Because once you can see their behavior style, like make an educated conclusion, it gives you a brand new context to your situation. So I'll give you an example of one of mine. I was in a highly stressful news job. I understand now from my educated conclusion with the flight assessment that the person I was working with was, we would say, an immature pilot flight attendant, or technically I'll switch it, flight attendant pilot. Moves very fast, very charismatic, big smile, very magnetic person. However, the environment was unstable. Like, I learned a lot being in that environment. However, it did come at the cost of a lot of stress. And shout out to Ms. Rosalie, she put it in the chat, unnecessary stress, bye, right? Spoken like a true pilot, right? I was in a situation that was highly unstable because in the news media industry, a lot of what we're doing is reactive. If something takes place or something is in progress, we'll cover it. So that's reactive. We have to do it quickly because information dies very quickly. Like, it has a very short shelf life. You have to stay as current as possible. And then, as someone who's an introvert, it was nerve-wracking to have to shove a mic in somebody's face out of the blue. I had to be on point with my questions. I had to have them ready. If it's the governor of the state, if it's an athlete, if it's a celebrity, if I'm on a red carpet, if I have to talk and walk with them, I had to be fast, which is very different from my nature as a grounds crew. You want to talk about being in your adaptive. We are not meant to stay in our adaptive, y'all, because remember what I said about being adaptive. Our adaptive is when we are thinking about what we're thinking about. We're under heavy supervision. We know that we're under observation. So we're double guessing ourselves. We're thinking twice about what we're saying, about what we're doing, about how we're moving, about how we look. That's extra stress. And then being on the go in that job, I ain't gonna lie to you, I developed a very unhealthy diet. We were eating fast food almost every day. So between the unhealthy diet, the chronic stress of the job, and since I was working like 3 different jobs in one, I always stayed in the house, so I didn't get enough vitamin D. That developed into health issues. Okay. But at this point, I'm able to speak about it freely with you guys with no emotion on my face. This is what transformation looks like. When you're able to have the context because you have the emotional intelligence, you're able to look back on the situation, knowing what your behavior style is, knowing what the behavior style of the person is, and you see the situation very differently. At the time, I thought it was torture. I hated having to get on the road at a whim. You know what I mean? But the job was a job. If the governor decided to send us a press release or a media alert, that's the term. If the governor's office decided to drop a media alert like an hour before the press conference and the destination is an hour away, whatever, like, you don't get any additional privilege. You're getting that media alert an hour ahead of time, whether you're CNN or CBS. It doesn't matter. The media industry works the way it works. You know what I mean? Thank you so much, Ms. Rosalie. I appreciate you. Thank the Lord. So proud of you. She's talking about speaking about this like clearly. Thank you, Miss Susie. I appreciate it. Your transformation looks good on you, sis. Thank you. Yes. So here's the other step. in being able to reframe your trauma and turn it into transformation. This was the tool that I was missing at the time that I was able to, with my family's help, acquire, which is community. Make sure you're in a healthy community. That was the breakthrough for me. It wasn't until I got into community that I learned about the flight assessment and developed that sense of emotional awareness and self awareness. So, getting into a healthy community can be a game changer for you. It might be the only thing you're missing. It may very well be the only thing you're missing. So, get into healthy community. For me, that was the UOU Mastermind. I joined in 2023, took my assessment. I had taken it once before in 2021, back when we were still under quarantine, under light quarantine. I lived in Florida. So if you followed the if you followed the pandemic, Florida was an interesting state. But anyway, I took it back then, got a better idea of my behavior style. Took it again when I joined the mastermind, and I realized I had tremendously changed. For the most part, your dominant behavior style is going to be your dominant behavior style. Like, no matter what evolution you undergo, usually, with a few exceptions, usually your dominant behavior style will remain your dominant style. Shout out to you, Miss Susie. As long as you're watching on YouTube, the replay will be available to you on LinkedIn as well. Instagram is the only one where the replays won't be instantly available. Got to do some extra stuff over there. Shout out to Unique in the building. What's up, sis? um, just to check your email, by the way, Unique, I sent you the link if you want to hop on and chat with me. But yeah, for sure, y'all. Like, once you understand yourself and get into a safe community, that safe community will help you nurture your voice, reclaim it, and develop the language that you need to properly express yourself. That is what happened with me. And if you're willing to rock with me, like if you haven't subscribed yet here on Getting the Win on YouTube at Getting the Win, subscribe. Like, my videos cover all of this stuff. If you're ready to reclaim your voice, let's go. But getting into community helps you do that. And once you do, you can develop the language as well. Once I learned the flight assessment and learned that language, I became a much better communicator. And that is one thing I will give that news media job. I would not be sitting in front of y'all talking like this apart from that job. Not this well. Because I had to learn how to talk to a governor, how to talk to celebrities, how to talk to athletes, millionaire athletes, and get their attention, it made me become a more vocal and a braver communicator. Prior to that job, I was a wallflower. I was perfectly fine, just chilling, being invisible. Can't work in the news media and be invisible. Not if you're holding the mic. As a reporter, you can't be invisible. Absolutely Unique. It served its purpose. It sure did. Which, once you develop this emotional intelligence, you can look back on that trauma and see that it did serve a purpose. Was it painful? Probably. But given the transformation, once you understand yourself, why you behaved the way you did at the moment, and why the other person was behaving the way they were, transformation follows. Transformation follows. You can look at the situation with a bigger confidence than ever before. Because now that person comes down to size as well. I won't go into the details of one of my other personal examples, but I'll say this. Someone else who caused a trauma early in my life, I came to understand that they are likely an unhealthy, very immature pilot, very immature flight attendant. They think fast, they talk fast. And because they're immature, emphasis on immature, their decisions and their conversations are very me focused. And because they're immature, they end up harming the people around them. I'm able to talk about it again with no emotion, no pain, no tears, no nothing, because I clearly understand that about the person. And here's the thing, if you're somebody that's people oriented, if you're a flight attendant or a grounds crew, you're somebody that's loyal, you love people, and it hurts to lose a relationship. Let me tell you something. Once you understand those behavior styles, the way you behave and the way they behave, it becomes a lot easier to go low or no contact with the person. It becomes a lot easier. Okay. I can tell you there are three primary people who have caused trauma in my life. I am low contact with all of them. You hear me? Not no contact, but low, low. I do not initiate contact with them. Fortunately, one of them, I don't even have their contact information in my phone. But the other two, I don't initiate contact and I do not put myself in any location where they can see me. If we just happen to be in the same space, whatever, I'll acknowledge them. They're human beings. So, you know, but outside of that, absolutely not. Low or no contact. And it's okay to do that. Once you have the context, you're able to see how you behaved at the time and the way they were behaving and why they were behaving that way. You're like, oh, this is how they move. Okay. I now know this is not healthy for me. And now I know why that person is not healthy for me. It's a lot easier to say no. I'm coming to the comments real quick. Shout out to Unique. She's like, not a wallflower. Not anymore and not in the same way. Still kind of chill, but not in the same way. I'm still kind of socially awkward, but it's all right. I at least know how to interview people. I'm really good at one-on-one conversation. I'll say that. But it's still easier for me if somebody else initiates. Being honest with y'all. Shout out to Miss Susie. She agrees. Appreciate you. Miss Rosary, that was your test. Now you have your testimony. Yes. 100%. That is facts. And shout out to Afia in the building. Emotional maturity, 100%. 100%. Absolutely. By the way, Afia, I emailed you the studio link as well. So if you want to jump in backstage and join the convo, no problem. I'll be happy to chat with you and introduce you to my peoples here. The Candace Mackey, of course, with 100%. Susie, thanks for the laughter. Appreciate you. And see you getting a shout out from your sis, by the way, Afia, your mastermind sis. Thank you so much, Miss Susie. I appreciate you. You look radiant. Thank you so much. Yeah, and this is the other beautiful thing about transformation. Being able to look back, seeing how you were behaving back then, seeing how the person or persons, plural, because it could be more than one person, was or were behaving at that time and how you are now. Because understanding your behavior style can also inform your decision making now. If you find yourself in a certain decision making pattern, you're like, why am I here again? How did I get here again? Why am I like this? Right? Like, have you ever asked yourself that question? Why am I like this? Understanding your behavior style gives you that self awareness, that emotional awareness to help you understand why you're like that. And then you can actually think back to your childhood, to the way you were raised, to the messaging you received that could explain your decision making going forward. I'll be honest with y'all, I'm ground screw because I was raised by two disciplinarian parents. I love them. I love them, love them, love them. And I have the privilege of saying that I am friends with them. We chop it up every day. But at 8 years old, at 7, at 6, nah, yo, like I was scared because they were big on rules. They were big on obedience and following the rules. And as such, I grew into someone who was like that. I am big on obedience and following the rules. It rubs me the wrong way for people to like not follow the rules simply because they don't want to or simply because they can choose not to. However, the difference now is since I have emotional intelligence, I remain calm I remain emotionally stable because I tell myself, oh, that person's likely a pilot, or oh, that person's likely a flight attendant. They don't like the rules. They're not gonna follow it, especially if it doesn't make sense to them. It's all good. I understand it now. Once you know these behavior styles, it's so much easier to navigate life because you're seeing other people's decision making. You're like, oh, that person's probably somebody's putting up with an abusive relationship. They're likely ground crew, or they're likely flight attendant, but have trouble with saying no or have trouble with setting boundaries. That's possible. Okay. Shout out to Miss Susie. She said, I love them both. We know, Mrs. We all love you. We love you. We appreciate you so much. Yes, unique. Ouch. All of this is truth, man. Ouch. All of this is truth. Shout out to Candace. She said, blessed. And fun fact, drum roll, Afia is about to join us here shortly. And I invited Afia on to the live stream, y'all, because she is a new author and I wanted to celebrate her and celebrate that moment. By the way, we are scheduled to have our interview. So don't worry. This will be just a preview, a foretaste of our conversation that's coming to a Wednesday near you. All right. And to Ms. Rosalie, no worries. Like, as kids, we're going to respond differently. And like I said, like, since I'm an adult and understand things now, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And I love having the privilege of calling both of you both parents and friends, like both. Not everybody gets that privilege, and I'm honored to have it. Miss Eunice said, "Love you, mother." That's the other sis. We know, we know. So I hope this information, like getting the overview of the four behavior styles, was helpful for you to be able to see how your upbringing could have influenced your dominant behavior style now, being able to see what your behavior was at the time of your trauma, and potentially give you a conclusion for the behavior style of the person who hurt you or the persons who were involved in your transition and why they behaved the way they did at the time. This can be very freeing when you apply this information. And again, if you want that deep dive, go to flightassessment.com and take your flight assessment for yourself if you haven't yet. Okay. Like, it's a 19-page comprehensive report. If 19 pages sounds overwhelming, I promise you the majority of it is graphics. It's all right. Like, you won't be overly bored. All of the words that are there are accounted for. Like, the words matter. It gives you advice or recommendations on how to communicate to others to teach them how to treat you. Once you understand your behavior style, the assessment actually tells you how to communicate your boundaries to other people. It gives you the language to communicate how you want other people to treat you. And it also gives you steps on how to interact with others so you can communicate in their language so that the relationship is even better. Because I can promise you, once I learned that language and I was able to apply it to my family, it was way easier to communicate with them. Because I'm like, oh, mom is this way, dad is this way, my brother is this way. Like, it was so much easier to make sense and communicate in a way that makes sense to them so that we move more cohesively as a unit. I was able to revisit nearly everything in my past and look at it in a new way. Yes, Candace, shout to Dre. Yes, shout to Dre. Based on what I can tell, based on the educated conclusion, I do believe my brother is pilot, which is dope. Like, bro moves fast. He's in his head. He knows what he's doing. Like, his way is the way in his mind, right? Like, it's all good. You see the comment there, unique. Mom says right back at you. Sharing the love. Sharing the love. So yeah, this is what transformation looks like for me. Like, having this show is a result of being a part of the UOU Mastermind, that safe space, that community, which is the other step that I talked about for transformation. emotional awareness and self awareness, which helps you recontextualize what happened. It helps you reframe what happened. And number two is getting into community, getting into a safe space so you can reclaim your voice. Be around the people that can hear you and say, oh, I hear value there. Like, you the bomb right here. Being in a safe space, they will see what is amazing about you and remind you of it. Because if you're anything like me, you might have forgotten that you were dope. Being in a safe space, being in community, they'll remind you that you dope. They'll remind you that you're dope. Okay. And they will point out why you're dope. They won't just fawn all over you. A safe space will not only point out your strengths, but they'll push you to become stronger. They'll see stuff in you that you don't see in yourself and be like, hey, let's tease that. Let's bring that out. This live is an example of that. First simulcast ever. Okay. First simulcast ever. I've gone live on YouTube before, but this is the first time I've been live on 3 different platforms. It's crazy, at least on my own. I've simulcasted before as part of the news outlet, so I'm no stranger to the tech angle. But this introvert in 3 places feels a bit unnerving if I allow myself to think about it too much, right? But just to show you guys, I'm gonna share my screen to show you what transformation looks like and being able to reframe the traumas that I have experienced and being able to show you guys and guide you guys. Let me share my screen. You guys have likely seen some graphics popping up either on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on IG as well. But here is the fruit of my transformation. All right. I'm gonna add this so you can see it. Drum roll, please. I've got a new book coming out, y'all. The Playing to Prose Playbook is what it's called. So I'm gonna scroll this so y'all can take a look at it. The paperback and ebook are available for pre-order right now. But this is my first time truly diving into my previous experiences, pulling out the gold that I think will be useful for any other woman who has gold in her and can harness that to transform not only her own life, but other people's lives. This book is my first time doing that. Okay. So just to show you, I'm eating my own cooking, as my coach would say, as ET would say. I'm eating my own cooking. I'm not just teaching from a place of theory. Like, I'm doing all of these things myself. Went through the traumas and transitions, developed the emotional intelligence myself, got into safe community, reclaimed my voice, transformed, and am now in a place as a writer, as an author, to produce something tangible that is a tool of transformation for other people. So if you guys are interested in that, just go to paintoprose.com to place your pre-order, because like this thing is going to go live August 1st. So, if you're interested, you'll be able to grab that. And whether you're tuning in on YouTube or not, it's the same material. So you'll have it with you. You'll always have my whole knowledge and expertise with you for your first book or your next book, regardless. Okay. But I wanted to show you what transformation looks like. Shout out to my coaches. They've been influential in my life. So that is a bonus one. I mentioned getting into community. If you're able to do it, if you're able to swing that kind of investment, get a coach as well. Get a coach as well. It makes a world of difference because they're able to ask the right questions and unpack some things for you in a way that you may not have the language for yet. The other version of this is get into therapy, whether that's talk therapy or another kind of therapy. Talk therapy isn't the only kind, and talk therapy isn't for everyone. But research different kinds of therapies that you can get into, that you can utilize. Some people are better expressive through art therapy, some through drama, like drama school or like a comedy school, even like an improv. Tools like that can help. They're ways of you expressing yourself and getting the thing out of your body. Because that's what the expression is for. It's meant to get the thing out of you so that your nervous system can finally regulate. Here's a next bonus. Consume content that will sharpen you. In my situation, it was Tim Ross, who's a former pastor turned podcaster. This is a man with over 28 years in therapy. So he has the full therapy, language therapy parlance. I was fortunate enough to go through them therapy sessions. Like all of his podcast episodes are essentially therapy sessions because he's using all of the terminology and he gives you language too. He gives you the language to be able to express boundaries, to be able to tell somebody no, like as a complete sentence, and to be able to address your traumas because Tim is as transparent as possible about his and how to process them. So hopefully all of these resources I've given you tonight make sense. You don't feel free to use any one of them. Feel free to use all of them. And please let me know. Like, come back to this and drop it in the comments. DM me on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, you can find me there at Melissa Thomas with 2 L's and 2 S's. Feel free to DM me there. Follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Threads at Getting the Win Show, and drop me a message there. But we want to make sure that everybody is growing. Everybody. Because my name, y'all, means honeybee. My entire purpose on this planet is to help other people blossom, including you, whatever that looks like, regardless of your behavior style. Because I know how to talk to you. Like, if you're a pilot, my job is to help you get the results you want faster and with as little drama as possible. If you're a flight attendant, I'm here to rock alongside you and make sure the experience is as fun as possible for everybody. If you're a ground crew like me, I'm here to work alongside you so we can stay steady, keep the pace, and get it done and make our leader look good. And I'm loyal, so I'll rock with you to the end. If you're an air traffic controller, I am big on step-by-step instructions. I will make it make sense for you, regardless of what's going on, even if you don't like addressing your feelings, because I get it. Air traffic controllers and pilots don't like feelings. Like, what are those? Ew. A pilot doesn't like it because it takes up extra time. And an air traffic controller doesn't like feelings because feelings aren't logical. I got you. I'm well-versed in both because ground crew juggle both. I can make your feelings make sense. So if that's your challenge, rock with me too. I got you. Shout out to Candace. Y'all like and subscribe before you leave today. Thank you so much. And peace out to you, sis. Got to run a phenomenal job. Super proud of you on tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much. And shout out to Susie. Glory to God for allowing him to use you to help others and be a blessing. Thank you. For sure. And yes, no is a complete sentence. And listen, this is the beauty of also knowing the other people in your life and what their behavior styles are, because they can teach you. It says, if I ever need help expressing a boundary or being firm, Ms. Rosalie is the one I talk to because she's the resident pilot. Like, I can call her, I can talk to her and be like, I'm dealing with this. How should I express it? She'll tell me. She'll tell me exactly what to say, exactly how to say it. Okay. So it's helpful to know what the different behavior styles are of the people in your life, because then you can know who to call in your time of need so that you remember that you're not alone. Because like I said, that's the beauty of the flight assessment. You understand how the other people in your life are so you can collaborate. You are not alone. No human being is an island. We were never meant to exist solo. Some of us can. I'm not debating that part. Some of us can, but we were never meant to. Okay. So if you're ready to take this ride with me, by all means, subscribe here on YouTube at Getting the Win. If you're on Instagram, follow me there at Getting the Win Show. If you're on LinkedIn, be sure to let's connect. You know what I mean? On LinkedIn. Again, Melissa with 2 L's and 2 S's over there, Melissa Thomas. Shoot me a DM if you have any questions. If you're interested on one-on-one coaching, I got you. If you're interested in the book, I'll run this again. The Pain to Pros Playbook, get your pre-order. The book drops on August 1st. The paperback and the ebook pre-order is available today on that website. So paintopros.playbook.com or paintopros.com. Okay, paintopros.com. All right. In the meantime and between time, I will not take any more of your time. Shout out to the pilots who rock with me this entire hour. These live editions will be an hour long, so you can come in, get the information you need, and bounce out if you need to, because everybody's got lives. Or if you're rocking with me, just know that it's only a commitment of 1 hour. So in the meantime and between time, thank you so much. I will catch you on the socials until Wednesday, until the next episode drops on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, the Getting the Win Show. And by the way, stay tuned for the announcement regarding this little logo up here. There is an explanation for that. All right. But in the meantime, love you guys. Peace. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Love you.